Okay. My volume, it's good, right? Yes? Oh, because am I on mute? Oh, because there's music playing. I can hear the music. Okay. So now we'll need the YouTube link, right?
Woman of Character Ministries is a non-denominational, nonprofit Christian ministry that seeks to lead women into a personal relationship with Christ. With Proverbs chapter 31, verses 10 to 31 as our guide, Woman of Character Ministries hopes to reach out to women in their busy lives through several different resources to allow them to answer the call to be supported in their Christian journey. We offer free devotions, conferences, online Bible study, workshops, and prayer retreats in order to inspire women through their journey. Our goal is to assist in strengthening women through the various facets of their lives, including marriage, parenting, business, and health. Woman of Character Ministries is run and organized by Lady Tina Sarsa in hopes to offer real-life solutions to women striving to maintain life's balance in spite of today's world's hectic pace and a cultural pull from godly principles. Wherever a woman may be on her spiritual journey, the Woman of Character Ministries exists to be a trusted group that understands the challenges a woman may face. We want to walk by her side and encourage her as she walks toward the heart of God. Check out our private Facebook group called Christian Women Helping Christian Women. We have thousands of Christian women providing daily inspiration, encouragement, and support to each other through the Word of God. You can also visit our website at www.womanofcharacterministries.org. Email womanofcharacterm@gmail.com. Instagram @womanof_character.
Got it.
Hi, everyone. Hi, ladies. Hi, Woman of Character Ministries. So glad to be here tonight with you. I welcome you to our Tuesday Night Live with Woman of Character Ministries. I'm Minister Monica Forey, a part of this awesome ministry, Woman of Character Ministries. I'm here tonight with our founder, Lady Tina, and our special guest, Dr. Susan. Thank you for joining us, all of your online members, those of you who are watching now and will replay. Tonight, we're going to discuss parenting and the joys of parenting. Lady Tina, Dr. Susan, how are you?
Doing amazing.
Doing excellent. We're excited for tonight.
And Lady Tina, I know that we just heard a little bit about Woman of Character Ministries in that video that came through. Why don't you highlight for some of our audience members who might be joining us for the first time, or even friends of family members, some of the past highlights of what has taken place with this awesome ministry?
Hello, everyone. And my name is Lady Tina Sasa. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for joining us. So as you all may know a little bit about Woman of Character Ministries, we've been around the block for a while. I would say about 12 years. And by the grace of God, we are doing awesome things in our community to empower women, to enrich the lives of women. And some of the things that we have done throughout the years is to ensure consistent prayers for women and with women. We've had corporate prayers on our prayer line and in person. We have weekly food giveaways. The most recent ones were through the Fairfax County Staff, the Bass Community Food Initiative. It was awesome. And so we've had successful women's conferences with guest speakers, including Dr. Cindy Trim, Bishop Realtor Kim. We've had Apostle Emmanuel Inkum. And we want to thank you all. I want to say a big thank you to our volunteers that came out to support us in our past conferences. We couldn't have done without you. Thank you. and keep up the good work in supporting this ministry. We have a vibrant and growing private Facebook group, and we are also on Instagram. So if you haven't joined our Facebook group, a private one, is called Christian Women Helping Christian Women. We encourage you to join us, because over there you'll be the first to hear about our meetings, our conferences, and every event that we have to offer to the community. And we also do have daily postings to encourage ourselves in the Lord. So I want to invite you to join us all on our social media pages. I believe we have Facebook, Instagram, and you will be blessed. So thank you once again for joining us. And I know that today you're going to be in for a blast. Okay? We have with us Dr. Susan Oforiwaa Koduah. This woman is an assistant professor in the College of Public Health School of Nursing. Dr. Koduah's research interests are in the areas of factors that influence students' critical thinking and using effective teaching strategies for students' success. She's an expert in oncology nursing, where she continues to offer the undeserved community education on preventative care. She's passionate about community education, including undeserved young girls. Dr. Susan has several honors and awards, including Golden Key International Honor Society, Sigma Theta Tau International, and International Nursing Association. She is a professional member of the Oncology Nursing Society and Nursing Board member, Oncology Nursing in Northern Virginia. And she is such a great resource for tonight's discussion. Dr. Oforiwaa Koduah has a Bachelor of Science nursing degree from George Mason University, Master of Science in Nursing Education with a concentration in education. So she has a PhD in psychology at Grand Canyon University. Beloved, I'm so excited about tonight's discussion because it's about effective parenting. How do we effectively take care of our homes as Christian women, especially our children, our young ones, the gifts that God has given us? And I want to believe that we all do have anxieties, parents, in this month of August as we roll out the summer holidays and get ready for school. I don't know about you, but sometimes I try to behave as if I'm not as anxious as my kids. We drive by their schools and they're like, oh, I don't want to come here again. It's coming up soon. And trust me, I also know that I'm going to start losing sleep. I'm going to get back into school work with my students. I mean, as they get to school, it's almost like you are in school with them. I know that I'm going to start activities going back and forth to the school with them after school and even on weekends. So how do we cope with all these anxieties? How do we re-energize ourselves? How do we get ready for this all busy school year again? That is why we are here. And we couldn't have gotten a more resourceful person to discuss this with us than Dr. Susan, because this is someone who has specialized in educating, and she has a psychology in it. So a doctorate degree in psychology. So I want to believe that she has so much to give us, and not to talk about the fact that she has 2 young adult daughters, girls. She is doing so well. Sometimes I listen to her and I'm like, how are you juggling all these from one hospital to another, taking care of patients, making sure that these girls are well taken care of? Dr. Susan, we are so excited to have you. We want you to tell us how you are effectively parenting these young adult girls. We all know how difficult girls
Yes, Mama.
can be. We all know how challenging it can be. And for you to have gone this far in educating them, making sure they are successful in their education and they are so well cultured, Dr. Susan, we want to know your secrets.
Hello, hello. I guess we have Facebook viewers, we have people on YouTube, wherever you are. Greetings to you. Thank you, Lady Tina, Minister Monique, for having me here this evening. It's all about women, it's all about girls, it's all about children. It
Mhm.
just gets me excited, right? So I've been told we're talking about effective parenting. I always say, let me do a disclaimer here. I flow with the flow. So I will be your facilitator.
Mhm.
So there are times that I will ask for people's input. This is about parenting. Okay. I don't have it all. So I will share what I have from being a mother, from being the woman of character, and from being a psychologist and a researcher, what's out there. So we have limited time. The way I usually when I take on a platform is I do not mind if you interrupt me because I like to have my audience engage, if that's okay with our moderator. Because I know usually the moderator has a plan that you speak and then we do questions and answers. But I personally do not mind. Feel free to ask me a question or post in the chat. With that, I don't. How are we doing that? Is it a post in the chat or
Yes. Yes, we're going to
okay?
monitor the online audience and we'll bring it in for you.
Okay, all right. Okay, remember, I don't have it all. Do I have some expertise? Of course I do. Okay. So, effective parenting, what at all is parenting? And since we are here, I know we have some gentlemen who are joining us, but it's women of character. Let's start with the biblical perspective. And this is me, I make it all rounded, right? So, the key, the one big thing, as we all on here from Sunday school, train the child in a way
There she go.
so that when they grow, they will not what?
Heart.
Depart. And
Not
that is Proverbs 22, verse 6. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, please. But I think I still have my Sunday school.
You got it.
So have that at the back of your mind. So we start with that. With that, then what is parenting? What do we do as parents? But then you need to know your parenting style. So today we need to start with that. And before I even talk a little bit about that, after I talk about the four, if you're one of those who have been going back and forth between the styles, if you forget anything, take with you today that you really want to stick with your parenting style because you don't want to get your children confused. And that is why sometimes some issues arise. To that effect, some parenting styles are really better than others. So let's see what we have. There are four parenting styles. There is authoritative. And when you hear authoritative, you go like, huh? But it's not what you think. Authoritarian. There is the permissive style, and there is the uninvolved. I think some of these styles you can probably figure it out that uninvolved, right? So the authoritarian, that person, and I think, let me put it this way. I'm not sure the audience that we have, but I think most African homes from back home, I think some people were brought up in that kind of parenting style where you don't have a voice. So that's the authoritarian. It's like, it's my way and nobody else. That's
Mm.
the authoritarian parenting style. And I am a show and tell professor also, and I teach by examples. So I have witnessed at least one or two authoritarian parenting style. This is a family I knew. And the child at the time was like, you know what? When I go to college, I don't think I'm coming back because I want to have an exposure of what life is. This parenting style and this child told me this. And yes came, the child went to college, never came back home. And that was her reason.
Wow.
So if you forget anything, that authoritarian style that most African homes, let me put it that way, were brought up in that kind of parenting style, it impacts the child. And the one big negative effect, let me put it that way, is low self-esteem. They have, because they are not used to having their voice. And actually, in my classroom, I can tell when I've had a couple of Ghanaians and other Africans in my class, and I can usually pick it out. I
Now,
will directly go to them. Yes,
Dr. Susan, that's awesome. Can you share a little bit about that? Because I think people don't understand that you reflect how you were raised. And
yes.
that when people talk to you, sometimes folks react a certain way because they grew up in a certain household. So please just elaborate about that a little bit more about what you're noticing in some of those folks that grew up under those circumstances, the authoritarian household. Amen.
Oh, yes. So talking about the negative impact that it has on them is the low self-esteem. So when one has low self-esteem, because they've never really had a voice, they are shy, they're afraid, they feel like they are nobody. So I literally will go to these students. I remember one of them last semester. At the end, I was like, how did everything go? And my students call me Dr. K. And they're like, Dr. K, we've really enjoyed your class. There are times that we were struggling. I was like, why did you never come to me? The white students, let me put it that way, okay, they had no problem, but because they were brought up under those kind of parenting styles and environment, they don't have a voice. It's because, okay, your child don't talk. When an adult or your parents speak, you don't speak back. So that parenting style, personally, research shows that it's not something that, so if you are on here and you have that kind of parenting style, you kind of want to refrain from that because it's not the best for the fact that it really reduces your self-esteem. Authoritative, I will sit here and tell you that's my style and I stick to it. So this is where I will probably shed a little bit. So lots of effort put into creating. You want to create a relationship with your children and maintain that. So if you are doing that authoritative parenting style, this is where, and if you remember, before I started, I did a disclaimer. I said, stick to your parenting style. You do not want to be going back and forth because then when you're being serious, they don't think you're serious. I wish my girls will hop on here and they'll tell you because they've said it in church before that this will not fly in our home. Because if I say I'm going to do this, I think I have done and tried my very best to do that. And here are the key words: create and maintain the relationship. But where some of us are from, sometimes they tell you your children cannot be your friends. For people who know me, fortunately, having my girls, we're like triplets, especially when we dress alike. Okay. And now that being in, one just finished college and the other one is about to become a junior. So you don't see us together a lot. But I did a lot with them. I was in their life, especially being that mother. They were my friends. I personally don't care what anybody will say, but when I was disciplining them or encouraging them to do from a mother perspective, they got it. They knew. So if you have this parenting style, your children can tell that you're being serious because they can just look at your face and know which direction we're going to, right? So you want to do that. So these kind of children, as we talk about this, because we are talking about how this effective parenting will help with these children, because they were brought up under, it's also a nurturing environment. Even though you are assertive, you have to be. You love them. So, like I tell them, I love the hard way. And this is where sometimes people ask me, how do your kids, this is just by the way, this is how tough I can love, just so you can get it. How come they still speak your language? I said, if you speak English and you need something, you will stand here till tomorrow. I will not pay no attention to you. And I'm not joking. And they will, my
I like
children will tell
that.
you that. Yeah, that's how. I mean, I said we all speak English. You will learn it. Yes, it's not my mother tongue, but we all speak it somehow. But if I want you to speak it, if you need something, if you truly do, then you speak my language. So that's just beside the point. So these children have a voice. They stand up, and wherever they find themselves, they become vocal, not just talking, but they have facts.
Yes.
And that's kind of, I think for me, naturally, I think I was born that way. A little bit about me also, used to do poetry recital. So I have been very vocal. I think when God created me, even before my parents' parenting style, I had that. So I have no problem speaking up, but speak up with facts. So it makes them to be, especially finding ourselves here where we have to work extra hard. You need to have that parenting style where you can teach them to be self advocates. Because if they find themselves somewhere, and I would tie in bullying, if they can speak for themselves, they'll just flow with the flow and be miserable. Being vocal. I remember, I think I might have shared with Lady Tin. I remember when I first moved to my office at Mason and they wrote my name, Susan Koduah. I said, that's not my name. You're missing the O. So you need to take it down. That's that confidence and high self-esteem if you are brought up using this parenting style. And they took it down because it was right. I told Asia, that's not my name. And I was right. So you speak with facts. They are able to express themselves. And as an authoritative parenting style, another thing, this is where when you get involved into your children's life with school coming up, we want to get involved from preschool through high school. Maybe now I didn't get to meet their dean in college, but I met some of my children's professors. Yes, even in college. That's how I get from grade school through. I knew the principals, the assistant principals, they all knew me. And if they did, I remember my youngest, I'm really emphasizing this for us as parents. So you go and stand up for your children. You have even twins, they have different learning styles, so how they behave. So my youngest, I don't know, something happened. So I went to the school. And the teacher at the time said, well, told me the story. I said, listen, because at the time, this teacher had seen my oldest daughter. I said, no, you can't compare them.
Mm-hmm.
And she just was not listening to my daughter.
Mm.
So I said, I'm going to recommend a book for you to read.
Come on.
Yes. So speaking with facts. And I did. And she later thanked me and then got to know how to deal with my child. They never had issues anymore.
And I love, Dr. Susan, how you said you spoke up, because each child has a unique identity. They are not
Hmm.
the same. And if you treat them the same, you will run into issues and have wrong expectations. I love it. They have a unique identity. Respect their identity.
And that
Yes.
is very true. I noticed that children, even if you have 10 kids from the same womb, each one of them has a uniqueness, and you have to respect them from that angle. Treat them as such, and you will see that, like you're saying, Dr. Susan, every confidence, every virtue that is in them will come out boldly, because then you are not solving your ideas on them, but you allow them to speak up.
Yep. And I'm really talking at length about this authoritative parenting style because research supports that. And that's really what, if you are not that kind, I hope you will. Because you are the parent, you are seeing what your child also has. So what you show them is what they take with them. So there was another instance, my oldest, I saw that she was going to be a good writer from like grade fourth grade or something like that. And her teacher at the time also saw that, who was very nice to even come to her high school graduation. So I happened to be at a parent teacher. It was for minority students, like African American, something like that. And I was very involved. And her English teacher said, you know, my oldest is Sydney. She's written this poem. We want to get it published. But she says, no. What do you think I did? I just went, I am the mother, and
Mhm.
you're going to
That's
publish it.
it. Yes.
And Dr. Susan, not to cut you short, but it takes us back to the scripture that you shared. Train up the child the way they should go. These children are gifts to us. And so we have to lead the way. The child may think that that poem is not ready to be out there, but I like the way you stood up and said, no, it has to go. So you are helping her, much as you're saying, I like it, let it go out.
Yep. So her thing was, just so we get it as parents, she thought it was going to be show off. And I said, this is the show off you want to do. This is a good show off. So I'm saying this to empower somebody here because I don't think sometimes we do well with these kind of things as parents. So what I did, and it actually not only got published in the school's newspaper, but we lived in Centerville at the time. It got published in the Centerville Times or whatever they called it.
Wow.
That was a door opener for her because then she started writing more, which got her awards for her writing to go to college.
Wow.
If I had not spoken up, and now this has also paved a way for her that she scares me actually because she acts and some talks and be like me. But in a way, it makes me happy that she advocates. She has now learned to not be afraid to speak up.
And Dr. Susan, the parent has to be the first champion and advocate for
Yes.
the child. When they see you stepping out forward, being a champion for them, then, like you said, the self-confidence, the boldness, I can do it. And had you not encouraged her, who knows if she would have taken that form of every time diminishing herself, being less to make someone else feel better. I think that is an awesome testimony of how her self-confidence just
Yep,
blossomed.
Even
it
when she
does.
thought it wasn't enough, mom said, this is the best. It has to go out there.
Absolutely. And I say this because kids are about to go back to school, right?
Mhm.
So if it's something that we've not been doing as parents, let's restructure the way we do stuff with our kids, be more involved, as on the grounds, not just, if they have like extracurricular activities, but the actual classroom stuff. Talk to their teachers, find out what's going on. Go to the principal, go to the assistant principal. There was actually a lady that who was kind of did not feel comfortable. So what did I do? I said, tell the principal you come in with your sister.
Mhm.
And I went with her because things were not going right with the child in school. And we met, we talked, and things got settled.
So I think one thing I'm getting from you, Dr. Susan, is parents shouldn't be, we should have the confidence to stand up for our kids, even in the schools.
Yes,
Most of the time, from where we are trained up, we tend to give the teachers a lot of authority, but they don't know our kids much as we do. So when you believe in your child, you must be able to go and say, no, this is not what you think. This is who actually my child is. So it's one thing the child being wrong and us, making sure we reprimand them. But there's another thing to making sure you know your child to the extent that you can stand up for them and defend them.
Absolutely, especially in the world where that we find ourselves. I could go on
Yes.
and on. I tell you, I teach my teaching style also is war stories, which means if I share a story with you, you'll never forget. So that's what war story teaching style is. Um, so that is that, like I said, I wanted to really highlight on authoritative parenting style because if you're not doing that, I want you to kind of stick with that. You have rules. Like even now, my girls are 20 and 22. If you come to my house, I don't care if you're in college or out of college, in my house, if you go out, you better be back by the time that we've agreed on,
Mhm.
for as long as you're living with me. Yeah. So that's the thing that you want to stick to the rules. And I think most of our people, that's a problem among some of us parents that we easily give in. And that sets into the permissive parenting style where we set rules. Uh, it's like, Mommy, today is Tuesday. I want a box of donuts. And you have said to yourself that this child on this day is not going to have a box of donuts. But they'll be like, Mommy, and they'll sweet talk you really well. You know how I did in school today? I really don't care how you did in school today. If you do well, there's a day where I'm going to um, positively, what's the word I'm looking for?
Reward.
Reward you. Yes,
Mhm.
which you want to do with the authoritative parenting style. But today is not the day. So you can go all you want. You are not getting that box of donuts. You want, and that's what permissive parenting folks do. They set the rules and they easily give it. Okay, yes. Today she did really well in class. Don't break that rule. Go back to authoritative style. So if you are a permissive parenting style kind of and being on this line, you don't really want that because yes, I know they say rules are meant to be broken. Not necessarily. And I'll give you an example. Going back to the classroom, I had a student who, so you understand where I'm coming from, who had recently had a child because she was not submitting her work and I didn't know what was going on. So I don't have to, but I go the extra mile and I reach out to her that what's going on. So that's when she told me that she has a baby, all this. And I said, you know what? You need to communicate that with me. Yes, I have rules. Assignments are due on this day. So talking about rules are meant to be broken, not just like that. You talk with me one on one. If this is a situation where I need to make that exception, and in this case, it is. And she even said, I want to bring the child to class. I said, I personally don't mind for as long as your colleagues are fine with it. You get permission from them. So that is different from sweet talking me. I want donut because no, you need to stick to that rule. So refrain from permissive parenting style is what I'm trying to say. Because these kids usually also the biggest thing they struggle academically because they are not being spoon fed.
You
Mm.
know, Dr. Susan, I love it how you shared about authoritative and being able to be a friend to your daughters, but still being firm
Mm.
in setting the rules and sticking to the rules. And I think that's what we have to remember is that I can be your friend, but I don't compromise these rules because this rule is important for you in life. I can't change it. If you ate donuts every day, we already know what the end result will be. Your health
Hmm.
will be bad. So I'm responsible to making sure you follow the rules, but you can come talk to me. So I love that, being able to come talk to the parent.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because so back to the permissive, they struggle because they've been brought up in a home where mom or dad or whoever the guardian, let me use that term also, they let them have whatever. I
Allows
set the
them to
rule, but
have the
it
right.
got broken. Yeah. Okay, mom said this, but they still let me do it. Like my kids, they'll tell you if mom say they're gonna spank you, they really mean it. They will. Even today, that they're 20 and 22, they know I will not be joking with that. That's how serious it is because they get it. So we want to refrain from the permissive because we want to help them that life is not on a silver platter. So that's why these children, especially when they get to college, because now they don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have mom or dad who easily gives in because, like my students who I think have been brought up in that kind of parenting style, they want you to give them everything, spoon feed them. I said, no, I will not let you drown, but I'm not going to spoon feed you. I will help you when I see that you're drowning. I'm not going to let you drown. Then the final parenting one, uninvolved. They rarely know what's going on with that child. Like school is kind of, some of them don't even know when the school starts. That's a typical uninvolved.
Mercy.
Yes. Um, they don't know when things are due, because you're training up a child depending on which level. You still have to be involved. Even with my daughters being in college, I ask them about their grades. I'm paying for the tuition.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta know. Sometimes we slack on that, even because you think, oh, now they're adults.
You're
If I
mature.
am paying for that, I gotta know the grades. I gotta see some A's and B's. And if you don't have that, there gotta be an explanation. What was going on? So that's how involved you want to. So, but uninvolved, uh, parenting style. Oh, they're fine. They got it. And these kind of children that come out of this parenting style, they also have issues with self-esteem because nobody really guided them as they were growing. They can't speak up for themselves, so people can do whatever they want to do with them. And I say that for last because I'm going to tie it into the parenting styles and how bullying is going on. School is about to start. Before I even tie in bullying, any questions, any additions? I know Lady Tina and Minister Monique have added to it, but from the audience, questions, addition before I tie in how bullying, whether the perpetrator or the victim, its impact based on the parenting styles. Okay? So what is bullying? We all hear it, right? Bullying. It's where it's to make it simple, it's an imbalance of power between the perpetrator, meaning the person who is bullying the other person, and the victim. So there is loss of power. And that is going on a lot. Currently, there is 1 in 5 students are getting bullied.
Oh my
That's
God.
significant. That is significant. So we got to do something about that. And this comes from the National Center for Educational Statistics. So it's pretty great.
So,
And it happens a lot in middle and high school. Yes, a lot. So if, and I have seen that and heard of stories, especially around 6th grade. So if you have a child about to go to 6th grade, middle school, high school, keep an eye on that because sometimes they will not want to talk. And that is also 1 in 4. So remember, there is 1 in 5 bullying going on in schools, but 1 in 4 is taking place between middle and high school.
oh,
And
So
Dr.
that is
Susan,
serious.
that is so important because at that critical time where they are learning to speak up who they are, it can change your whole trajectory in life.
obituaries.
Absolutely. Yep. So with this 1 in 4 also, there are different types of bullying, but I wanted to touch on sexting. I remember when I first heard that word, I was like, what? What is that? But that is a big thing happening now. So 1 in 4 students are actually, once again, in middle and high school being asked to be part, being bullied in that respect using sexting. So if you don't know sexting, that's when people are asking them to send nude images of
Mhm.
themselves. Yes. And if you don't do it, so they are doing it out of fear. So that's a form of bullying. So
Wow.
parents, talk to your children, find out what's going on in schools, ask them daily when they get home what happened in school. If you get in that habit, they will also not refrain from telling you stuff. So they'll build that rapport with you. So if you've not been doing that, do that more. And research shows that apparently boys actually tend to do it more. They give into that more. And with bullying, aside the fact that bullying is happening 1 out of 5, 60% now is cyberbullying. I actually know a kid from a family that was, one of my previous patients that got really close to. I think it was their niece, or no, it was a nephew. Very well, I think they said was athletic, didn't really talk, committed suicide from cyberbullying.
Wow.
And that's one thing that comes with bullying too. So you want to find out if your children or your child starts to get quiet and stuff, and especially for boys, I personally know of um, kids, maybe 3 who have committed suicide, and I think 2 of them were boys.
Wow.
And Dr. Susan, I love how you're bringing this up about the bullying aspect, the age that it happens, the type of bullying that's happening with the sexting, because you started off by talking about having a voice,
Mhm.
that the parent wants to ensure that the child has a voice so that when they come to you, they are opening up wherever they are. And it appears that this transfer of balance of power, as you mentioned, it's subtle, but it's like the enemy's coming in to steal, kill, and destroy, and it just happens little by little until they don't feel they have a voice.
Absolutely. Because the first thing with bullying is the child should feel comfortable to report. So if they did not have that parenting style, if they didn't grow up under that parenting style where they were brought up to speak for themselves, they're not going
Ex-
to talk.
So it
So
actually
that's why we
begins at
tie him.
home. So, Dr.
Yep,
Susan, this actually begins at home. I
at
see the
home.
foundation uh, in the home. If the child doesn't have a voice in the home, they will never have a voice in the school or outside the walls of the school. And so, I like the way you're saying. I mean, this statistics is awful. It's sad
It
that
is.
in the middle school where they're actually finding themselves, finding their voice, that's when the enemy strategically tries to shut them down. And I'm glad that we have parents here who are listening and we understand the things of the spirit. And so, even as we are nurturing, sowing the seeds to nurture these kids, we must also be praying for our kids.
Absolutely. And to add to, as we've all heard now, this age, middle school, high school is critical. But this is also the time that some of us, where we're from, we think our children are old. So they don't need babysitters. This is the time that you actually need to be home with those children. And especially now that, they are online, you don't know what they're doing. Please keep an eye, check me to date. If I want to take my girl's phone, I pay for them still. So I'll take them. No nonsense on that one. You want to know what they are doing because, like I said, the kids that I know who have committed suicide is because they learn stuff from online. And they plan it so well.
Oh my God.
Talk to your children, know who they are, find out where they are struggling. Because if they are getting bullied, there are negative effects. So when they become afraid, they're fearful, they have like almost zero self-esteem because they already getting bullied, going through an authoritarian parenting style where they didn't have a voice, so they already have that low self-esteem, so they won't even say anything, they won't report it. Depression, anxiety, So most of these kids that are also committing suicide, the big thing is they get depressed and embarrassed because they can't speak up. So then their last resort is, I just don't want to live in this world anymore.
And Dr. Susan, I like how you're starting to share the escalation that comes from the low self-esteem, anxiety, depression. And I'm not a psychologist, I'm a scientist engineer, but I love to watch the shows about addictions and how people begin to struggle in their older age. And it does appear when people start to peel it back at this critical age, your defense mechanisms start to kick in, how you defend yourself or what you rely on. So I would love for you, I know you talked about the anxiety and the depression, but I mean, if they're starting to make choices in life, this is the time when they make the decisions.
This is, and that all stems going back to the parenting style. Do they feel comfortable talking to you?
Mm-hmm.
Do they feel comfortable coming to you? Like I always say these days, like for some of us, when we were growing up, you wouldn't talk about, your age. Because when you say you have a boyfriend, what?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the reality now. They do have them in high school. This is it. Are you talking to these kids about sex education? So when I usually bring this, I'm like, we have to. So you cannot be bringing up your kids the way you were brought up. So parents on here, get that. You still have the parenting style, go there, but you still cannot be that way. Like I started talking to my girl. I say, if you have a boyfriend, if you're having sex, let me know. I'm not encouraging that, but at least I'll make sure you're protecting yourself. That's having an open discussion. So the key is, do they feel comfortable with you? If they do, then they will come to you. If they don't, then they'll lay back. I remember, I think 2021, when I went back home, usually when I go home, I go to my high school, and I was talking to the girls, over 3,000 girls, and, told them I'm a psychologist, things I do, and blah, blah, blah. And one of the girls came to me after I finished talking and shared her, back home, we were not calling it bullying. So I told her after she told me her story, I said, this is bullying. So guess what? She's a very smart kid. She said they were bullying her because she was always studying. She was doing science. So they give you a name, the nerd, all sorts of names. So it almost started to shut her up. So I had been counseling her via phone to encourage her. I mean, the things, I forgot what she said she wanted to do. This kid, I think at the time she was in SHS 2 when I met her, and she told me that she was doing computer coding. She's
Wow.
so smart. I said, forget them. So I've been able to get her to a point. And I said, I'm gonna call the headmistress to let her know what's going on. But because she had been bullied at the time for a while, she's like, Dr.
Please
Susan,
don't.
please don't tell the headmistress. It's gonna get worse. I said, no, I'm going to, and if I have to come to Ghana and do something about this, I will, because I'm here all the time. And it really gave her some sort of power, and she was able to regain her grounds.
Mm, mm,
Yes.
mm.
So, this is because the impact of our parenting style and what goes on, even when they are outside, the friends they will make, all that starting from home impacts them that way.
That's
Because
from.
if you taught your children, a certain way, depending on your parenting style, they know not to bring certain people to your home or befriend certain people.
That's
Everybody is
right.
different, but just so at least we get that
Set the
understanding.
boundaries.
They know, yes. Like I remember my oldest was talking to me about this guy that she was talking to, and she said, Mom, you and him, the fact that you connect with him, I told him that my mom is connecting with you, that's a good thing. Because she will just tell you flat out that you maybe this is not good.
Mm-hmm.
But she's already having a conversation with you, this is good. So you want them to be comfortable with you. So I will just leave that keyword, know your parenting style. If you didn't know, we've talked about authoritarian, authoritative. You really want to be authoritative. That's the style you want. Research supports that because you be assertive, you stick to your rules, you love them. Sometimes tough love, really don't want to do permissive because it's like whatever. And uninvolved, who cares? That's how I look at that. You don't want that. So let's try to solidify our parenting style, impact that to our children. So when they are out there, they'll be able to have a voice.
Mm.
And being people of color, we even have to work extra hard in having a make you have a voice, but for it to even be heard and acknowledged. But if they have that strong self-esteem, and that's what I do with the young girls that I train and we support,
Mental.
is for them to build their self-esteem. Because even answering questions, they look at you like last December, I was in my village with three of my students when we went to Ghana. And they ask them questions and they just, I'm like, speak up. So that's one thing we're working on with these girls back home. So they will be able to build themselves up and have a voice. So that's what I leave with you.
You know,
Any
one thing I'm
questions?
picking up, Dr. Susan, you just don't parent your own children, but you are doing so much in the community to parent other kids, who you're helping them with their confidence, their self-esteem, and mentoring them educationally. God richly bless you. I think I've
Man,
picked up so much from this segment, and we are going to have to do another segment with you. I'm glad. I like the way you tied in parenting and bullying. We are going to have another time for self confidence and all those related topics. But for today, I think I have picked up so much, and I want to ask you, Dr. Susan, if you started on the first note, the not so good one, the authoritarian, right?
authoritarian.
The authoritarian style. You said to stick to what you started with. But I'm seeing that this is really not the best for our kids. If I got that right, how can you gradually switch so that at least you can make sure that your child has a voice?
I love this question because I've actually had somebody, um, I'm helping somebody transition.
That's the word, transition. Thank you.
Yes. If you have been that authoritarian kind, and as we've all heard today, authoritative is supported by research. So if we all can, we all really need to be doing
I
authoritative
do.
parenting. The thing with, it's it's like a general rule of thumb. If change is always hard, so you don't want to go harsh. So if you are a parent on here and that has been your style, I can coach you in the
Yes.
next month or so. I'm not
Yes.
too booked. Don't text me now.
Yeah.
Um, because you want to be gentle, because you yourself, because you don't want the children to see a drastic change. You want to do it slowly. That and also acknowledge when you are wrong or you haven't done something right as a parent. Let them know that, I realized in the past, I didn't allow you to express yourself, but I want to make things better. So I am working on it. Acknowledge that. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's a problem for some of us parents sometimes because of being a parent, that ego. Why should I tell my child I'm sorry or I didn't do this? Well, then it builds up tension and you don't want that. So acknowledge that this parenting style has not been great and you want to work with them. So they should work with you and it will work out beautifully.
I like that.
So,
Like that,
Dr.
I'm sure there's nothing that we cannot do, especially when you acknowledge that you haven't done it right and you want to change.
Dr. Susan, I love it. You are the epitome of Titus 2 and
Yeah.
Oh
3.
boy.
The women,
Just got another award tonight.
yes, yes, we honor you. The age mature women being good teachers of good things.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this teaching of good things to the younger generation for an understanding, as you mentioned, which I like. I'm going to piggyback on what we just talked about. I think this is great that you've done all night long to expound upon. If you're seeing that you should transition your teaching, your style of relating as a parent, but remembering that they were once children, they are now adults. You know, as they grow and develop, you shared how you could still be friends,
Mm-hmm.
but even with that transition, they need to know that you are the parent,
Absolutely.
because things change and they want to talk to you about different topics
As
as
they
they get
grow.
older, and how you relate to not a child but now an adult is different. So I'll let you expound upon that as a
Yeah.
parent.
So see, with this is where I go back. I can use my own, because I have adult children now. And sometimes, when you see them grow like that, you don't want to be overprotective because letting them go
Mm-hmm.
becomes hard for most parents. But I think if you establish that friendship from childhood, they, irrespective of where they find themselves, they will find you or you will find them. So letting them go, it's not going to be a big thing where, you, the parent, will be like, are they gonna be okay?
Know the
My,
seeds that you've
you
sown.
know, yeah. Like my children, sometimes they begging me to come visit. It's 4 hour drive. I'm like, no, I ain't got time for that. They're like, mommy, I said, no, I do miss you, but I ain't got time. Okay. And so not that, but at least I know they're okay because I know they will still come home and I will go when I can because we have that sort of friendship. Let me put it that way, parents, children, and that is the key. So it
Yeah.
will not be so difficult. I do that. If you are on here and you are in leadership, this parenting style, you could actually take it with you in your leadership role. Because as a professor, I still have a lot of students who I have taught years ago who still reach back out to me
Mm.
about their next step in life. They'll
Wow.
set up a Zoom to make sure it's okay. They'll set up a Zoom or time to talk on the phone because some of my students are, younger about the boyfriend situation because they know our lesson. We play cards. My classroom, we have a lot of fun. So that comfort, that it's a big key. So you're not gonna be all wrapped up about, you know, it's gonna be okay.
And
I'm
Dr. Susan,
hearing.
oh, go
Oh,
ahead,
go
go ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead, sis.
What I want to say, I'm hearing a lot of is this open door communication. It's
Yes.
not
Absolutely.
closed. So, and to look and reach back to whichever children come around your way. Those young adults, like my nephew, I feel comfortable with him. He could be out late at night, but when he comes in, I can trust him. There's an open door communication. Maybe he wasn't out doing what you might have thought he was doing, but
Yeah.
I now see if he doesn't have a chance to talk to me, he can't tell me of the wonderful things he was doing at that time. I,
Hmm.
I really want you to talk about that. And Lady Tina, I think that is one of the notes I would love for us to go
Mm-hmm.
forward on and talk about this open door of communication. It can't
Open door.
close.
You know, open door communication, I cannot emphasize that enough
Mhm.
because it cuts back a lot of trouble
Yeah.
that you may foresee or can happen in the future.
Mhm.
If you are that parent, because I know some people do that, it's almost like at certain point in life, their children have to like make, I don't know if I should call it appointment.
Oh.
to talk to them. You know, like my girls, they know I'm busy. So I let them know my schedule. They know my calendar. Like right now, even though my oldest is not here, she knows not to call me or anything because I'm on Facebook.
Mm.
Because I don't want, because if she should call, it's gonna be FaceTime and it will disrupt this. So that open door communication, it cuts back because they always want to come to you. Then they don't want to leave. So this will be the kids that eventually you may be like, can you get out of here? I need my space a little bit. That's the beauty of this.
Mm. Mm.
That's
Mm.
the beauty of this. So parents, let's have that because I still hear, no, your children cannot be your friends. It drives me personally crazy.
Wow.
I'm sorry because
So
open
we
door
must,
policy.
I like the way, Dr. Susan, you said, aside you being firm, your child can be your friend as well. Now, school year is starting, and the anxieties is not just the kids being loaded uh, with homework, but you, the parents, also making sure you are balancing life well at home, in the office, and even being a part of your child's school. What is the advice that you would give to parents? Making sure that we are balancing all these things and not being stressed out.
That's a great question. So once again, this is where you also have open discussion because depending on the type of work that you do, because we all work different schedules and stuff. If let's say they have PTA every month and you can go every month, make it like a date night that maybe the third month you're gonna adjust your work schedule. So the child will feel that you're making that time for them. And it actually also helps you, the parent. You feel fulfilled, you
Mhm.
feel accomplished that you've been there for your child. And you're not going to be stressed because this work, this life, it's always going to be there. But it's about planning. Let them know that you're there for them. And there are times when, if life is tough a little bit, I'm just throwing this in. It's okay to let your children also know your emotions sometimes, not all the time. So that way, as they grow, they get it that whole life is not on a silver platter.
That's
Mom
right.
had this, dad had this, and this is how they went about it, and I can do it.
Mhm.
So parents, I know it's coming up. I almost, because I haven't done that in a while. When you go to Walmart and I see the back to school shopping, I have forgotten all about that. Do it together. It's fun.
Mm.
Don't go buy it because I think that's what a lot of people do. They get the list and they go buy them.
I'll get it for you. No,
Yes,
do it with them.
because you are in a hurry. You think the kid is gonna drag you behind. I know that.
Thank
I
you.
know. I've seen it. Don't do that. It's abundant time. Any little time you can with that child, they see it and it helps them pick up and they also start to do stuff for themselves. Then your
Wow.
stress will be less.
And then, Dr. Susan, I want you to know we've got some great folks that were on Facebook with their comments. We've got Afia, we've got Martin Bio. I
Yeah.
really love the fact that they're talking about balance
Mm.
and
Mm.
saying verbally to their children and their kids, as Afia said, so I can be your friend at this moment.
Mm.
I love it that they're sharing that a lot of the tips that you're sharing on this call that they are actually practicing. It's awesome. It's awesome.
And I
Absolutely. It's very
believe that,
important.
Dr. Susan, I believe with all the feedback, especially for me, I have two teenage kids, and one who is just about to enter into teenage. And there's so much I've picked up from tonight's meeting. And like I said, Dr. Susan, we're going to have more sessions with you if you don't mind, because there's more to talk about when it comes to the school year that is just about to start. And then once the school year starts, then what next? I like the way Pastor Bio mentioned in the comment, balance, making sure that you are balancing well, because Bible says a false balance is an abomination. You can't just, make sure you're paying attention. In my case, I have ministry, I have, church ministry, I have Woman of Character Ministry, and I have the kids, and I have husband ministry, and I have ministry, and I have,
Yes,
all these ministries.
all the ministries.
The husband
You-
ministry. That's a ministry. A work. It's a work.
So balance is very important, and let people know, because like this week I put on my WhatsApp status, because I put on there for
And
the week
still have
of.
fun, like
Yes.
you do.
Oh yes. Oh, I do have a lot of fun. And I said, for the week of August 8th, please text. Urgent calls only.
Only.
That's balance, because I'm trying to communicate that I need to balance things. So text. If I need to call you, I will call you.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Balance is the key.
Making
And
sure
that has helped me personally,
Yeah.
because I don't know how I juggle things, but
Mm,
balance.
mm, mm. And I think because we are having such a great conversation, we've gone a little beyond our time. It's 8:05 as we speak. But I think it's all because this discussion is so key. It is interesting. There's
Hmm.
more to delve into. Let me say a big thank you to all of our audience who are, watching now, and those who will play later. Feel free to share this broadcast, because you never know who you're blessing. That woman who is noticing that they started on a wrong foot and they need to transition. Dr. Susan is saying, yes, you can, but take your time and do it. One of the things you can do is to openly acknowledge that you were wrong and that you can do it better. Listen, I've picked up so much tonight, and I want to
Glad.
invite you to, first of all, ask you to share. Thank you for joining us. Please share this broadcast to be a blessing to that other woman, that other parent who does not know how to handle things as the school year comes. Okay. And I want to say a big thank you to you, Dr. Susan. God bless you. You really poured into us. I know you are doing so much in the community. I can't just mention all of them. And we can go on and on and on. The impacts you are even making overseas to young girls, to not just young girls, even adults. God richly bless you and more grace so that you can balance well.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So, on this note, we want to say a big thank you to everyone. Thank you for joining us. Woman of Character has more to share in the coming weeks, and I am sure that we will have great, resourceful people like Dr. Susan to continue being a blessing to us. Thank you.
Amen to that. Awesome. Thank you.
Bless you.
Woman
Amen.
of Character Ministries is a non denominational, nonprofit Christian ministry that seeks to lead women into a personal relationship with Christ. With Proverbs chapter 31, verses 10 to 31 as our guide, Woman of Character Ministries hopes to reach out to women in their busy lives through several different resources to allow them to answer the call to be supported in their Christian journey. We offer free devotions, conferences, online Bible study, workshops, and prayer retreats in order to inspire women through their journey. Our goal is to assist in strengthening women through the various facets of their lives, including marriage, parenting, business, and health. Woman of Character Ministries is run and organized by Lady Tina Sarsa in hopes to offer real-life solutions to women striving to maintain life's balance in spite of today's world's hectic pace and a cultural pull from godly principles. Wherever a woman may be on her spiritual journey, the Woman of Character Ministries exists to be a trusted group that understands the challenges a woman may face. We want to walk by her side and encourage her as she walks toward the heart of God. Check out our private Facebook group called Christian Women Helping Christian Women. We have thousands of Christian women providing daily inspiration, encouragement, and support to each other through the Word of God. You can also visit our website at www.womanofcharacterministries.org. Email womanofcharacterm@gmail.com. Instagram @womanof_character. Woman of Character Ministries is a non